that view.
There's a coyote. Nice looking 4x4. Real nice brow tines. Holy crap, a big cougar just walked right out behind me. He's standing at the edge of the bush.
This is Grizzly Country Outdoors.
So it's 2023 deer hunting season. I'm going to start with showing a few bucks that I've shot over the years. And just the story of my life, I've been looking for that true monster buck, and the quest continues. I have shot some decent bucks, I guess you'd say, but just never that giant. Decent 4x4 there. That was shot in a blizzard. This buck here I shot up in Judy Creek area. And I've even managed to shoot a few that I had on my cameras, like this triple drop tine buck. It's a pretty nice deer, I guess. And then I had a 3-year quest for this deer. This picture's from 2018. I called this the wide 4x4. He had a real distinctive left brow tine, you can't mistake it. And 2019 there, and then in 2020 I did end up managing to shoot that deer. The biggest buck I've ever got is this, is a 167. Real nice, just short, shy of the record book, you know. And picture of me here holding the rack. So coming up, we're going to see a buck that I called Twist, because his brow tines were split and they twisted right around each other. I got pictures of this deer 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. These pictures right here are winter of 2012, of course. I never did hunt this buck, and it's for personal reasons that I can't really go into. Here he is in the last year of his life, 2013. I believe he was killed by wolves in the winter of 2013, 2014. And then there's a final picture of him hard-horned from 2013. And I conservatively scored this deer 195 non-typical. So that's the type of buck that you can run into here in the Alberta wilderness. That's what I'm looking for. And then one final pic of a huge 4x4 that was in that same piece of bush as that buck called Twist. That's the sort of deer you're looking for. Now, here's a 5x5 from this summer. He's a decent looking deer, you know. So there he slips by the camera, and I got a second video of the same deer, and he looks okay, but that's because he's got the velvet on, right? Once his velvet stripped off, you see a picture of him here. Look at how thin the antlers are on that deer. He's just a really young deer. Now here is another 5x5, but again, he's really young. You see how slender those antlers are. He'll be a spectacular if he lives and puts on some mass. Another nice little 5-pointer here, walking through November 9. So I was running 9 trail cameras this year. Now this deer right here, he's about the biggest deer that I got on any camera this year. And he's just a nice up and coming 5-pointer. Another one of these deer that, if he lives a few more years, he's going to be pretty nice buck. You can see I have pictures and videos once he's in hardhorn, and you'll get to see what his rack really looks like. And he's a nice deer. He'd be just at the edge of what I'd consider shooting, but you can't shoot a really big buck if you shoot deer like this, right? Because he's basically a 150-inch deer. He's wandering through there. It's from July 20. Now here he is in hardhorn. And he's a pretty nice buck. But short main beams, and tines aren't all that long. He's not that heavy. Like, again, if this deer lives 2 or 3 more years and puts on some mass, then yeah, he's going to be spectacular. But still a young deer. Anyway, really nice video of him here. This is from November 23, as you can see, 11 o'clock in the morning. Right where he is. I don't know how many days I hunted in there. I never saw a deer. It seemed like every day I was not there, I got trail cam pics of the deer in this area. Makes you crazy, right? He's just wandering around and chasing does. There's a really neat shot here. You're going to hear this buck comes right by one of my cameras, and just pay attention, you'll hear him grunting. I thought that's pretty cool. You still hear him. Now here's the apple of my eye. If nice bull elk. This guy was wandering around all summer. Trust me, I'd turn into an elk hunt in a hurry if this guy was to walk along. But about the last pictures I have of him were from around September 10, and then he seemed to just vacate the area. Yeah, as elk will do, right? Yeah, he was in there just browsing all summer, this guy. Nice bull elk. Perfect size. And here he is. These are these pictures I was saying. It's from September 9. I did have one other picture of him from September 10, which I didn't bother to include in this, but nice to see. Well, after this, I got a couple of pictures of a pretty nice bull moose that he's future references next year maybe. But what's really neat here, pay attention again, listen to this bull moose walks right by one of my cameras grunting. Now let's get back to some of the deer that were wandering around. Here's a 4x4 cruising through. He's on the prod, that's for sure. Another one, I could have been the very same 4x4, not sure. Decent deer, not a shooter. Here again, is this the same 4x4? Possibly. Pretty nice deer, but for me, it's not a shooter. Now here's that nice 5-point. And now he's got a lady friend in front of him. He's following a doe. 3 videos of him here with her. From the 24th again. I don't know how many days I was in here at this exact spot, never saw a deer. Just the way it goes, eh? Well, after all that talk about deer I've shot and deer I want to shoot and deer that are walking around, I'm going to spend a few minutes here with just some observations on the trail. The first week it was so mild and I was hunting in new country, so I spent a lot of time hiking. As you can see, I was camped in the wall tent, and the old barrel stove kept the tent nice and toasty warm. Mind you, I always let the fire burn out, and there was a couple of mornings that I woke up and the thermometer was reading -16, -17 in the tent. Oh yeah. Right there, you see this awful grubs review or something, and a bear tore that chunk out. Gobbled up with those insects around there. That's a dandy buck rub there. I'd like to find more like that. Good buck did that one though. Look at this game trail going around this old dead spruce. Look at this. That's a pretty heavily followed game trail right there. Look how loose he grows all the tops off this wall here. Excellent moose country in here. Of course, some deer out right now, but I could see myself coming in here next year. Moose browsed that. And this one too. See how this poplar bark is still green and see how thin it is. Nice and succulent for a moose. Nice buckle. Here's something cool. That's a moose. Well, a moose stink pot. That was left over from October. He pawed and urinated here. Rolled. Man, we're on deer hunting. I can't wait to come in here moose hunting. There's more moose sign in here than I've seen in a long time. Everywhere you go, shrubs have been browsed. And moose rubs everywhere. And now here, a real nice stink pot. And that poplar right there. Blackbird. It's going next all the way up it. Hiking this trail and all of a sudden I come upon this here. That's the leg bone of a deer. Must be a wolf kill right here somewhere. And look at this, like 10 feet from that is the remnants of a huge wasp nest. I would have liked to have found that one. You can see where it was up in that willow right there. That would have been a big one. Huh. When I was sitting here the other day hunting, I spied this corner here with all this big alder. Beautiful stuff. I'm going to knock down that one great big one there to make biscuits for the Bradley smoker. Yeah, I ended up making close to 150 biscuits for the Bradley smoker out of this one alder. And man, that alder, if you've never done it, making your own biscuits is great. It's got such a sweet, mild fragrance to it. Produces a beautiful, mild smoke for your Bradley. Look at this beautiful little bird nest. Chickadee maybe? See the size of it by my glove. It's a tiny little nest. That's cool. You gotta appreciate nature, people, and this is like 3 days later. I made like a 4-mile hike just to get in here to collect this nest. Just beautiful nest. And look at this thing. That is just beautiful. It's all woven with strands of this brown grass. Oh man, yeah. Yep. I'll make a little display with this. Put it on my computer desk with my big wasp nest. Collected this big wasp nest one spring when I was out looking for spring bear. Beautiful. Yeah, it's about a 4-mile hike to collect this little nest. And here's the display I made. I just took a block of wood from the wood pile. Ended up being absolutely the perfect size, and I just attached the little tree that this nest had been on just with a single screw. It's beautiful. I should have brought that up. Right before that deer came out, right straight across from me, there was a weasel, pure white, and he was running along a log over there, chasing something. And I just was grabbing the camera because I was going to try to get the weasel on film, and that deer walked out to the left of me. Darn. But, you know, we've seen a buck. Maybe a big one's going to come out next. So deer crossing the fight. So this little buck comes out. He crosses the pipeline here, and after he gets to the edge of the bush, he turns and he follows the edge of the bush, and he walks right up to me. He came within 40 yards of me before he finally entered the trees. Scent trail. Moose right there. So this is a calf moose, and there was a cow with it, but it was back in that the heavy timber there in behind where the calf is. So when this calf turns to run away, my camera doesn't pick up the sound of it, but you could really hear the cow moose crashing through the timber there behind. Nice to see. Everyone stayed in the timber. Cow and calf. So now here a buck comes out. It's a 4x4, like one of those standard 140-inch 4x4s that's walking all around this part of the country. And he comes out onto a knoll and he immediately goes over the knoll and out of sight. And he is scent trailing around down on the pipeline there for a bit before he comes back up onto the knoll to the left side. And then he turns and he starts walking toward me. And when I zoomed on him, not being aware of it, but these blades of grass in front of me, when I zoom on him, the darn camera focused on the grass, and so the deer just goes across again. See his antlers draw, but take my word for it, he's a 140-inch 4x4. So here I was walking in a forest trail and I spotted a buck and I zoom in and he's a hunt now, same, just like that other one, 140-inch 4x4. Not big enough to shoot. Nice looking deer. He's, you know, he's 75 yards from me right here. He turns and he looks at me and he kind of, he starts snorting and he bounds off into the timber. Nice to see.
Nice buck just walked across there.
This is one of those really, really painful lessons. This buck that just walked across was a big 4x4, really tall, really long vein beams. They come all the way around to where they were almost touching. They were like an inch or two apart across in front of his nose, right? Well, what I didn't realize when I zoomed on him here, the camera just focused on these darn small poplars that's out in front of me. The deer, I know where the deer is in the picture and I can't even see him. Because he just looks like a ghost. He was just blurred right out.
4x4.
So frustrating because I chose not to shoot this deer. It was a beautiful buck. It was nice looking you'll ever see. And but I thought that's not an issue because I'm getting, beautiful video of him. No.
Jeez, that's a nice looking deer.
And unfortunately, that's all there is. You take my word for it. He was an absolutely gorgeous deer. And you can just kind of see a shadowy thing moving across there in behind those poplars. That's it. I'm sorry, folks. Oh, and by the way, the lesson gets punched into me even harder a few days from this.
Nice looking buck. He went into the timber. Oh, that's a nice buck. The going two fawns just came on the line with a nice buck chasing.
You see that yellow grass in front of me? I didn't even notice it in the camera. And as soon as I zoomed the camera, the camera just focused on that stupid grass. And once again, you got to take my word for it. This was a beautiful buck. He's likely the heaviest horned 4x4 I've ever seen. Really heavy horns. And I chose not to shoot it. And again, I'm sitting in a situation in which I zoomed in on this and I believed I was getting spectacular footage of this buck, right? The worst thing is, he walks out and he stands and he stopped right in the middle of the line. He did that whole lip curl thing. And he walks forward to the edge of the trees, still broadside, does the lip curl thing. I could have shot him 10 times. But, you know, as big a deer as he was, he just wasn't quite what I'm after. And so I let him go, and I thought, yeah, it's okay because I'm going to have this spectacular footage of him, right? No. Just crap. So this buck, once he had done that lip curl thing a couple times, he very quickly determined this doe was not in heat, and he just buggered off, headed straight away from me.
Okay, it's Monday, November 27th. At the risk of spooking every deer in the bush, I have to have this little talk about self-filming. So I went into town Sunday night, stayed overnight, in order to do banking this morning. And I have all these videos. I have videos of a 140 buck, real nice buck, and a big, tall, gorgeous buck. His antlers came around his main beam so they nearly touched. Out to the end of his nose. Might have been a 154 by 4. And right on this very cut line, a heavy horn, old, big 4x4. And I thought I had spectacular footage on all three of these bucks. And they're a painful lesson I'm going to show you here. You cannot have anything in front of your camera if you're going to use the zoom. So you see a big buck, you want to zoom in to get really good video, right? Which I did. And especially the one here, the big heavy guy. He was chasing a doe that had 2 fawns. And he came, going down the line like this, and he stopped in the middle of the line, doing the lip curl and everything. It's friggin' spectacular. And I got the camera zoomed in. I thought, this is going to be amazing, right? I got home there last night. Look at this footage, and it's absolute crap. And here's why. You see that stupid yellow grass waving there? There was grass like that between me and the buck. As soon as I zoomed, the camera zoomed on that grass, and everything behind it is blurred. See that little, there's just some poppers down there? If the buck come out right behind them instead, and you were going to zoom him, it'll zoom on that popper. So that's a painful lesson I learned about self-filming. You've got to position your camera. You have to position your camera with nothing in between. Because if you're going to zoom, it's going to pick up that stuff and will not get your deer. And That's one of the advantages of being up in a climber or a tree stand of any kind, because you're elevated, you're going to have a clear view. You'll be able to, right, if you're in a tree stand of any kind, you're going to have a clear view, unless, you know, by chance the deer again gets positioned behind some brush in the distance, and when you try to zoom, you can pick up that brush. Or it's probably, or it may zoom on the brush. Anyway, when I put together my deer hunting video, I'll show you these sequences, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And they were, oh my God, they were gorgeous deer, and I thought I had spectacular footage, and it's just crap. Anyway, I'm gonna shut the camera off. That's enough on the cell filming thing. Oh, wait a minute. I did show you one thing. I've shown this before, but there's my camera mount system on my scope. That's an Adel clamp, 25 cents, 1/4 inch bolt. The wing nut locks the camera in position. That's all for cell filming now. Maybe we'll get lucky. The big buck is 15 minutes away. He never heard this talk.
That clamp is just a 1-inch Adel clamp. They're meant for electrical conduit. The bolt is just this 1/4 inch bolt, just standard thread on the bottom of any of these cameras. The wing nut locks the camera in position, and I required a couple wraps of hockey tape on the scope just to make a nice snug fit. Extremely cheap to make. I carry 2 of these cameras, one on the rifle, the second one on a tripod.
I just grunted, there was a deer running toward me. That's from the buck.
So this is another young 4-point buck. These are like 130-inch deer. But he was definitely in the rut. He just trotted right up to me. His antlers are basically the width of his ears. Got short tines. His mouth was hanging open. He was licking his lips. Damn. I wish that had been my big buck. So that buck came from the hillside up in there, like he was 400 yards away. I didn't even know he was there. But
short right after I grunted, all of a sudden I saw him running. He ran right across there and just turned and started running right toward me. And hopefully the video showed him how he was trotting right up this trail right to me.
So it's down to the second last day of the year here, November 29. I'm sitting on the same spot where the huge, heavy horn 4x4 was chasing the doe and fawns, and 5 does and fawns come out of the line and are feeding here for 34 minutes. And I was sitting there just praying for a buck to come out to check them out, and no. And the wind is just howling. I was freezing. It was tough to sit in that one spot, basically not really able to move because I don't want to spook the deer. And no bucks, no bucks. Yeah, they're feeding. They're like 220 yards away from me, just teasing me, you know. And after half an hour, they just finally all boogered off.
5 deer, all those. 2 right along the left. And deeper through.
Look down along the right-hand side of the trees there, just down the hill. You see that orange thing there? It's a big cougar.
Holy crap, a big cougar just walked right out behind me. He's standing at the edge of the bush.
So I just had time to film that cat walking out along the edge of the trees and stopping and turning to look at me, and that camera battery died. So I very quickly had to grab the rifle, turn on that camera, and now I'm filming the cat walking across in front of me using the scope mounted camera. And this cougar walked by me with in complete disdain. He wasn't afraid of me at all. What happened was, where I was sitting, I'm on his game trail. He walked out on the game trail. He was like probably 15 feet right behind me at the edge of the timber when he saw me. And he decided he wasn't going to mess with me, but he just turned and walked around me as casual as could be. And he stopped and looked at me like along the edge of the trees, and then again when he was right down in front of me, like just like, I don't care about you.
Just dumped a coyote.
So this coyote went down, spun around. I thought he was dead. I was watching him, and all of a sudden, like 10 seconds after I shot him, he just jumped up and trotted into the bush, and I thought, oh. We walked down here to have a look for him. And if you don't like blood and guts, then you may not want to view this footage.
So I just shot this coyote, and look at this. I saw he had something in his mouth. This coyote just killed a deer. That's deer hair. And after I shot him, he puked all this deer meat out. Son of a bitch, eating my deer. My stool is just down there. My camera is right at the corner. You can probably see it. Anyway, I saw the coyote come out of the bush over here, and I knew he had something in his mouth. I couldn't tell what it was. I thought he had a bird, right? But it's this deer. So I shot him when he was standing right here, which is, you know, maybe a 100-yard shot. And he went down, flopped around here. You see all the blood where he was. And he was laying here. I thought he was dead. The next thing you know, he get up and he trotted over into the bush. So I come down here and found him. It's a big male. Big coyote. And he was moving when I shot him. I was aiming for his lungs, but I hit him a little bit far back, but big coyote. Yeah, that's the last deer you're gonna kill. Now the other thing about this coyote, I heard coyotes howling, and where I'm sitting, there was another coyote. I don't think this one. I think it might be the mate of this one. And it came out on the cut line up there. It came out 3 different times. And every time, it had its nose to the ground like it was scent trailing. I think it was hunting deer. Anyway, I carry this guy over and throw him in the box of the rhino.
So another hunting season is come and gone. And if you're like me and you're just looking to shoot a big, really big mature buck, tag soup is the outcome some years, and it was this year. And I have no problem with that at all. It's the hunt that's important. Killing the deer, no, not so much. I want to get a special deer. Shooting coyotes, yeah. Too bad I didn't get a couple more, but anyway. You know, everything happens for a reason, right? Learned some really valuable lessons on filming, and hopefully I will benefit from those going forward and get some better video footage, you know. And again, everything happens for a reason, right? So that really heavy horn 4x4, you know, I could kind of kick myself for not taking that deer when I had the chance, but you know, if I'd have shot it, I'd have never have seen this cougar. And whatever you think about cougars, having a big cat like that walk out right like that right behind you and just walk around you like you're not even there, like, that was cool. I just thought that was so cool. And I learned, like I you know, I never stop exploring new country, and I found a couple of really great spots this year that I'm looking forward to next year. We had absolutely terrible weather this year for hunting. There was no snow until the very last day, and then it was just a skiff. It wasn't even enough you'd call it tracked snow, and it was warm. When you got no snow, The ground was frozen. Without snow to track the deer, like, you know, where the heck are they, right? You know, but you don't know. So, you know, and the other part about, you know, liking to explore, I did spend basically the first week just hiking and exploring, right? And I, you know, honestly, in hindsight, I'd have been way better spent some of the areas where I did see the most deer if I'd have been in those areas, you know, during that week. Well, who knows what would happen, but anyway, again, I'm really excited about this area where I was hunting. Great moose country, deer sign galore, and hopefully next year with better, more normal weather with some snow and stuff, I can get in here and, you know, roast up a buck. There were some spots in here that I just can't wait to get into and look at. There's one big ridge I found, big spruce ridge, that's begging for a tree stand, ladder stand of some type, you know, which is kind of my plan for next year. Next year. That's always the conversation, isn't it? Just can't wait for next year. Well, I don't know. I hope you found this video at least a little bit interesting, and I'm going to shut her down right here, folks. Thanks for watching. We could call this to be continued.